I'm Caleb Giddings from Gun Nuts Media.
And I'm JoAnn.
JoAnn is a friend of mine. We used to work together back in the gun up days, and she's going to be joining me in upcoming videos. Today, she's here to help me talk about 5 tips for women's concealed carry. Now, while this video is titled 5 tips for women's concealed carry, many of the tips that we're giving today don't apply just to women. They apply to anyone who is interested in self-defense or concealed carry, especially from a beginner's standpoint. That being said, we're going to get into the first tip right now, but we're going to backtrack a little bit and talk to JoAnn. So JoAnn, you work as a server, right?
Right.
And you work as a server at a bar, correct?
Right.
So have you ever had any interactions with customers that made you feel awkward or uncomfortable?
You definitely get weird situations. You never know who you're going to be serving. You know, your job's there to serve the community, but you can't judge every single person that comes in. So you don't know what they're thinking, what's going through their mind, and they may say weird things at times. So you just have to be aware of your surroundings, and you know, leaving work at night, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Are they following you? Are they keeping track of you, keeping tabs on your hours?
And have you ever thought about what you would do in that situation if you had a stalker who, say, followed you home or tried to break into your house?
I definitely have thought about that before. I've had a situation where I was happy that I had a firearm in my home, and you know, you just have to rely on the safety of that.
Mm-hmm. And that brings us to our first point, and our first tip is you have to be prepared ahead of time to use lethal force. And what we mean by that isn't I have a gun and I'm prepared. It's making the decision right now, when you're calm, when you're rational, that you are willing to use lethal force to defend your life. And the reason that's a big deal is something that we gloss over often in the firearms community, that using a gun to defend yourself could quite likely entail taking someone else's life. And that's a big deal. We gloss over that a lot. We talk about shooting to stop. We talk about neutralizing the threat. But the reality of the situation is stopping a threat usually involves putting bullets in here, and an unfortunate side effect of that is it tends to kill people. And if you're not mentally prepared ahead of time to use lethal force to defend yourself, you really shouldn't have a gun. You should get a dog or pepper spray or something else, but if you're not comfortable with that decision, then maybe a gun isn't for you. Tip number 2 for women's concealed carry is maybe a little controversial, but it's that purse carry sucks. It's not optimal. On-body carry is always preferable to purse carry. JoAnn, have you ever tried to get something out of your purse in a hurry?
Yes.
Is it easy?
No.
Give me like an example, because I obviously don't carry a purse. I am a guy. I sometimes have like a bro satchel, but like, get your driver's license out of your purse in a hurry if you don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain. You dig a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there. It's not convenient.
Well, and what happens when you're out shopping, grocery shopping or something like that? Are you always in 100% control of your purse at all times?
Definitely not. You set your purse in the cart, you look away for a minute, you don't have control of that. You can't have your eyes on it 100%.
And now think about that. You're worried about that when it's just your wallet and your ID card that are at stake. Now you're talking about losing control of a firearm to someone, and that's the big reason why I'm opposed to purse carry. And I understand that, yes, they make dedicated holster purses that are quicker to draw from than just fumbling around to dig a J-frame out of the bottom of your bag, but it's the control issue that JoAnn talked about that really creates a problem. With a gun on your body, you are 100% in control of that gun at all times, unless you're physically fighting someone over it. With a gun in your purse, or a gun in a satchel or a knapsack, or, God, I said knapsack. Does that make me old?
A little bit.
Does anybody still call it a knapsack?
Yeah, no.
Okay, a backpack. With a gun in a backpack, then you're not always in 100% control of that. And I genuinely believe that when you're dealing with your firearm, especially your gun that you carry for personal defense, you should be in 100% control. Tip number 3 for women's concealed carry is don't buy pink shit. Now, I don't actually mean you can't buy pink products, but JoAnn, how do you feel about pink products?
They're not always quality, and it's not actually what you're looking for or you need.
Right. So they take, a lot of times, these products that you run into that are branded as for women, they just take a shitty product and paint it pink and be like, this is for girls. And you do a lot of farming work and like hardware work too, and you ever see like women's tools and stuff?
Pink.
And they suck. They're not good tools. You're like, why would I use this shitty tool?
Yep.
So JoAnn, what kind of gun do you have?
I have an FNS 9mm.
Okay. And that is a full-size 4-inch handgun. It's got night sights. There's an excellent trigger on it. It is not pink or anything like that. And we're not saying there's anything wrong, again, with pink guns. Like, if you get one of those Tiffany blue Glocks, that's a fine gun. It just happens to be a color that people like. I don't really care, but the idea here is you want to avoid products that some guy, especially some guy, is telling you are good for you, right? I mean, I wouldn't tell... Would you listen to me if I told you how to buy a dress?
Definitely not.
Right. I mean, I'm not...
Unless you had pretty hair.
Right, and I obviously don't have very pretty hair anymore. So if you wouldn't listen to me on how to buy a dress, which is a very personal decision, you probably wouldn't listen to me on like how to buy sports bras or something like that either. Again, these are real personal items. Why would you listen to my advice on, oh, here's the perfect gun for you? Right. I don't know anything about you.
Something that's going to save your life eventually.
Exactly. So that's a really personal decision, and it's something that needs to be evaluated, which is why and how we come to point number 4, which is take a class from a professional. JoAnn, back when you worked for Gun Up, you had the opportunity to attend the Girl in a Gun training seminar down in Texas, correct?
Yep.
How was that?
It was great. We got to spend a week learning all about the different guns, different uses for them, you know, recreational, and most importantly, safety.
Mm-hmm.
So,
would you say that taking a class improved your ability, well, not only to shoot, which is important, but also to understand what you needed to get from a defensive firearm in terms of function, grip, fit, and that sort of stuff?
Definitely. The technical things, and as well as like the confidence, you know, being prepared. What are you going to do in that situation, and how are you going to do it so it goes flawlessly?
Mm-hmm. And the reason we talk about taking a class and why that's important is a lot of new people, to use an adage from sports, is they don't know what they don't know. So it's difficult for someone who's never been around firearms, who doesn't have any professional instruction, to go into a gun shop and pick up a gun and know whether or not it's a good gun. And this is why we go back to the don't just buy something because it's pink. It may not be a good product. It may be, but you don't know enough to know. And that's, again, why this is important and why we recommend professional instruction, because while there are some wackadoodles out there, I will totally admit to that, generally speaking, a quality vetted instructor is going to steer you in the right direction. And 9 times out of 10, that direction is Glock. Well, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased, but JoAnn, would you say that just because working for Gun Up and working with knowledgeable people, you were able to pick up a lot of information and kind of avoid some of those dumb decisions that other people have made?
Definitely. I was able to gain what I needed to. And
how do you feel when you see people like doing dumb gun stuff on the internet?
I can't stand it. It's horrible. And you see that all the time. You see a lot of girls who, they're standing like this. They don't, you know, they have no idea, but the guys that are taking them out to shoot, I don't think they see it as any more than just going out for the afternoon. They don't, you know, educate them quite as much that, you know, you can use this in your everyday life. You know, if you ever get in a situation or...
Well, and that brings us to our last point, and it's one that is very controversial, but is very important to me, and something JoAnn just brought up, and that's number 5. Don't let your boyfriend or your husband teach you how to shoot. I understand this can be controversial because there are probably, let's be honest, the majority of the people that watch this video are going to be husbands and boyfriends, and then you're going to take it and you're going to show it to your wives, or maybe not even show it to them and be like, look what this guy on the internet said about guns, and there's a girl there, so she's there too, so that's obviously legit. And while I appreciate that, the reason we don't recommend it is because a lot of what JoAnn said. So what do you see when you see boyfriends taking their girlfriends out to shoot?
They just think it's awesome. Oh, my girl, I'm taking her to shoot today. Or, you know, they just want to see them dressing hot, shooting guns, which is great.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Which is great, but you want to make sure that everything is correct.
And that's kind of why we encourage, and I especially encourage first-time shooters, whether you're a male or female, and this does apply in reverse. For example, if your wife is a talented shooter and she wants to teach you how to shoot and you're a dude and you don't know which end is the dangerous end, go get a professional to train you. And the reason I say that, the reason we want to do that is, one of the things that I encounter a lot is a professional instructor is students who have learned from a significant other, whether it's a husband or boyfriend or even a parent in many occasions, and they have inherited all of that person's bad habits. You end up with someone whose stance is messed up, whose grip is messed up, and it's because the person who taught them either had a messed up grip and a messed up stance themselves, or didn't care to impart their fundamentals because, like you said, all they want to do is get their girl dressed up and give her a big gun. Speaking of, and this isn't on the list, but this is sort of a pet peeve of mine. JoAnn, have you ever seen guys take girls out to shoot and then they give them the biggest friggin' gun that they have just to see? Have you ever had that happen to you?
Not to me, but I've had friends who are like, I'm not shooting, I don't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And they explain it, and it's because they went out and they got this gun that jammed into their shoulder because it's way too big for them, and their boyfriend thought it was funny.
If you're a guy and you do that, real talk, you're an asshole. Because for that exact reason, you're taking someone who probably would enjoy shooting if they were introduced to it in a fun way, and you're turning it into a friggin' practical joke. And that's not cool. So, JoAnn, thanks for coming on this video. We're going to have you back in the future. Hopefully our range will be working next time, and we will do some shooting videos out here at Gunway. If you guys have any questions for me, leave them down in the comment section down below. If you have any questions for JoAnn, also leave them in the comment section down below. Don't say anything weird or creepy, because this is the internet and you guys you're weird and creepy sometimes, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching. I'm Caleb Giddings.
I'm JoAnn.
And remember to run your gun, not your mouth.